Hello and welcome to yet another exciting episode of Social Studies. This is going to be a very special episode. Actually, not really. I have had some requests to make these longer. I know that I've been trying to keep them shorter, but some people want more, and they're saying, pushing the 20-25 minute range would be good. I know some of you would enjoy that. So maybe not today, but maybe sometime we can look forward to that. So here we are with Eli and Agriculture, etc. So this is the note sheet. This is the first industrial revolution packet, and you should have filled in the first page by now. Let me just double check. I'm not giving you the right information here. Yes, you should have filled in the whole front page, and I think you should have filled in the top of your sources of power, but I'm going to hit that again just to make sure that you got that. So sources of power, in case you missed the very top there, water and steam power. And of course, this is talking about the early to mid 1800s, the Industrial Revolution of the early to mid 1800s, not the later Second Industrial Revolution. And the last blank there was later steam engines, 2 blanks, steam engines were invented in Britain or England by a guy named James Watt. Moving on to our friend Eli. Eli Whitney. We talked about him a little bit in class, how he came up with the idea of interchangeable parts, or we will talk about him. I forget, some of you have not yet are watching this before class. So we will talk about him in class in more detail. So today is not to get into a big philosophical discussion about him or anything. It's more just to fill in the notes so we don't have to worry about that in class and we can focus on the more exciting stuff. So there's Eli, and this is his application for the patent for a cotton gin. Patent is something you do to get when you have invent something. It gives you a limited, usually to 14-year monopoly, where you are the only person allowed to sell or produce this particular invention. And that is to encourage people to invent things. Patents are actually something that's in our Constitution. Moving on here, just to fill in the notes without getting off topic. So Eli Whitney, I'll get to the notes. In the beginning of the first industrial revolution, just the beginning of the first industrial revolution and growth of the textile industry. Industry is already written there, so you just have to write textile, Textile. Industry led to increased demand for cotton, which we are going to find out is going to lead to increased slavery. And you can end the parentheses there. For some reason, I did not. All right, Eli Whitney invented the cotton gin. Invented the cotton gin. There it is, cotton gin. What was it used for? It was used to, I think I made, nope, I guess I didn't. I think I did make a slide for this, but I think I put it in the wrong order. So you're not going to get to see it, but we're going to pretend. He invented the cotton gin. What was it used for? To remove seeds and stems from cotton. It was used to remove seeds and stems from cotton. Real quickly show you here. This is a cotton gin, and you can see these combing things. It would rake through it as someone turned the crank, and it would spit out all the hard stuff that would jam up your spinning jenny down here and leave the good cotton fluffy, soft and fluffy goodness up on the top. All right. How did the cotton gin change the U.S., both positively and negatively? It will have positive and negative impacts. Positive in blue with the plus, meaning positive, next to it. And you don't have to write every word, just the underlined words. It helped the economy grow. That's number one. Helped the economy grow. You can pause me if you want, but just because you pause me doesn't mean I need to pause myself. Okay. Increased industrialization. Now, you may think that's a good thing or a bad thing. Here we are looking at it as a positive thing. We're not going to discuss it now. Then he also made cloth and clothing more affordable. So now people can start to afford more than just one set of everyday clothes. Maybe they can wear every other day clothes. They can, more and more people, not just the very rich, can afford clothing now. So that's helpful. Negatively, and the negative one is very, very big one. It increased slavery in the South or in the southern states, and it's going to really split the country apart. Some people have argued the cotton gin is what, in a way, in an indirect way, led to the Civil War, because it led to more slavery, more debate about, and slavery drove the country further apart. All right. Now, more changes in agriculture. Oh, I'm sorry. One other thing. I forgot the last blank. Eli Whitney also promoted the use of interchangeable parts. Interchangeable parts. We either have or will discuss this, but that is how you spell interchangeable and how you spell parts. You can just fill that in, and we either have discussed it or will discuss it, so I'm not going to discuss it now. All right. This piece of high-tech equipment right here is a steel plow. Now, a steel plow, you would hook up this side over here to a horse or a mule or an ox or something. Like they would have a bridle or reins or whatever you call it, yoke. I'm not sure what you call it, but and then this would be a steel metal blade that would carve into the ground, and the person would walk behind it. The farmer would walk behind it, holding onto the handles, steering it. So that was used to plant crops. Now, this is a big, big advance in farming. They had had plows before. They had had some steel attempts at steel plows, but this is going to be really a major improved steel plow that really helps farmers produce more land or farm more land. So, invented by a guy named John Deere. You may have heard of John Deere before because there's a company, the John Deere tractor company, that is connected to the man John Deere who invented this steel plow. And what did it do? All the underlined words are what you need. Why was he invented a better steel plow? Why was it Deere's plow an improvement? It cut through, and I know I spelled through wrong, that's an abbreviation, cut through soil easier, semicolon, made it easier to farm more land. And out west, remember we had acquired all that Louisiana Territory land, we gained a lot of cheap, fertile land that people could afford to buy, and it was very fertile. But, what good is 100 extra acres if you can't plow it by hand? Now, with John Deere steel plow, you can have larger farms. Now, if you're going to have larger farms and plant more crops, a few months later, you're going to have to harvest more crops. And that is where this guy comes in, Cyrus McCormick. Cyrus McCormick invents this thing. You can't really tell what it is. It is called a mechanical reaper. And the way it would work, you'd have a blade down here that would cut the crops down, and this spinning thing would scoop them up. Nowadays, they're called combines. But the mechanical reaper, like the Grim Reaper, it was used to harvest crops. So that between these two things, the steel plow and mechanical reaper, it was suddenly able for farmers to have larger, more productive farms. All right, here you can see it sort of in action. All right, last thing. The last section of your notes here, it says, how did improved farm technology change the USA? It's going to pretty much read right along with the underlined words, but I'm not going to promise you it's 100%, so I'm going to read it to you. Technology, I put new technology here, but technology such as the steel plow, underlined right there, and the mechanical reaper helped the U.S. grow because they helped people farm land in the West. Then the first bullet, this land was very cheap or inexpensive and fertile. Fertile means that it is able to grow crops fairly easily. So cheap and fertile. and new technologies allowed farms to be larger and made farmers much more productive. Remember from the vocab a couple days ago, productive means how much a farmer or how much a person can produce in an amount of time. So farmers now could produce more, they're more productive. This meant fewer farmers were needed to produce more food than they needed, i.e., a surplus. So we had fewer people farming, but they were producing more than they needed. They were producing a surplus, which could then be sold, so that not everyone had to be a farmer anymore. Up. So now you need to listen because I realized I've missed a blank or two. Um, Before these changes, almost all Americans were farmers. Almost everybody was a farmer before these changes. Almost all Americans were farmers. Next bullet. As technology increased farmers' productivity, more people began to move to the larger farms in the West. I'm sure that is a little bit redundant and repetitive, and I apologize, and I'm sorry. While other people moved to the cities to work in factories, because not everyone had to be a farmer anymore. Last bullet. However, one problem with these new large farms in the West was that most people still lived in the East, and transporting goods to markets was very difficult. So, better transportation was needed. Better transportation was needed. And guess what? If you look on the next page of the notes, what do you see? Better transportation. Can't wait. But we're not going to do it tonight or today or this morning, depending on when you're watching this. So that is all for now. Have a pleasant day.